Congressman Moore, Senator Capito. Okay, keep your hands up if you have not had your questions answered. Wait, how many people have called? Keep your hands up if you haven't had your questions answered effectively. Now, I want to give you, so one, I want to introduce myself. I'm Ace. I'm the president of Mountaineers Indivisible Citizen Action. I'm just thrilled to see you all. There's moments that we all go through these sorts of dips and valleys, and I want to just like be transparent and say, I've gone through my dips and valleys the last like few weeks, but it's these moments that when we're together, where we realize we're not alone, we're continuing to do this together, that gives so much hope. So it's just like, gives me so much joy to see you all here today. So if you're here, this event's organized by Mountaineers Indivisible Citizen Action. We're a local resistance organization that's standing up for our constitutional principles. We really believe in empowering civic action. We really believe in keeping our leaders accountable, and we really believe in being community with each other. This town hall serves all those different functions. We have not heard from our elected officials. We have written, we have called, we have heard nothing from them. And what we are here to do is be an act of hope, because even if they don't believe in their offices and their responsibility to us, we believe in their offices and their responsibility to us. We have, over the course of the last 3 months, literally January 20th, when the new president took over, we have been asking for a town hall. We have written letters on behalf of the organization. People in this room, you saw them raise their hands, have been asking for it. People have been writing and asking. I literally have somebody, a close friend of Congressman Moore's, who believed right after he took his little trip to El Salvador that he needed to answer our questions. He literally gave me his cell phone number. So I have called him on his cell phone. I have talked to his staff. We have done that. We've gone to his office as groups. We've gone to his office as individuals. We've done that. We have heard nothing. Nothing back. So I'm going to talk about a little bit of what we're going to do at this town hall. One of the things, when they have given us answers, is they've said that, oh, we are worried about safety. Let me tell you, you have some really intimidating looking folk in this room. They have said that. So let me just be really clear. We are a nonviolent organization. We conduct every single action with that spirit. And I believe, because I know that there's, like in past town halls that we've been in Trump 1.0, that those members, even though they didn't show up, they sent their supporters. So if you are a supporter of Senator Capito, Senator Justice, and Congresswoman Moore, you are absolutely welcome here. This is... Because I assure you, nobody in this room agrees with each other. We are not asking for perfection, we're asking for representation. That's it. We're asking for you to answer. So whatever you need to do to come and answer us, you need to do that. And if you can't, then step out of the way and let somebody else do that job. So what we're going to do in this town hall is we're going to have that representation of the questions that we have and the questions that have not been answered. There's 2 ways that you're going to be able to answer those questions. My daughter Ella here has already started. We're going to create a chain of all the questions that have been unanswered by our elected officials. So you should have note cards. If you need note cards, ushers will come and give you note cards. We're going to take all these questions together. You're going to be able to ask questions during our different segments to our elected officials. And if you're wondering why we have a celebrity sighting here at Baby Dog, I have an answer for you. So early in his term as senator, Senator Justice said that if you wanted a rubber stamp, you should have voted for Baby Dog. Well, Senator, you have been nothing but a rubber stamp for the Trump administration. our elected officials are not here. We do, I think, have some local elected officials and state elected officials. Are any of the state elected officials or local elected officials here? If you are here, you can stand up. Is anybody here? Back there? Who's that? So, does the person standing up there? So we want to thank our local and state elected officials for showing up to a lot of these events. We are grateful for you. We know what democracy can produce, and we know what democracy can also produce here. So we're grateful for your representation. I also want to thank everybody who has contributed in some way to all the different things that we've been doing. So some of you may be here because you got a call from our phone bank on Wednesday night. If you were there phone banking, were one of the callers, please stand up and be recognized. Thank you. Some of you may have heard about this event because you pushed us, you the membership of MICA pushed us, we are now doing Thursday weekly actions. So if anybody heard when we were there on Thursday and started to spread the word, if you were there at our Thursday weekly action at Senator Capito's office, please stand up and be recognized. Thank you.
And then my husband was in the doctor's office the other day, and I thought, we get a call to remind us about our doctor's appointments. So I got on the phone, called him, and I said, I'm just calling to remind you about your appointment on Saturday at 3 o'clock. He's arrived 15 minutes early.
Notice to know to come here, and just in case, just in case there's something, I'm going to just call Congressman Moore with that number again, and just remind him that there is a town hall happening, and he will get all those questions. So. The website to voice now.
Of course.
Hello, Congressman. This is Ace from Mountaineers Indivisible Citizen Action. I'm here with well over 100, I don't know, we haven't count yet, of your friends, your constituents.
Hi, Congressman Moore.
Hello! We have invited you to come to this town hall, but we assure you we're going to continue. We have faith in your office. We have faith in you, that you will answer these questions. We will send you these questions ahead, and we hope that you answer your constituents. Very reasonable questions.
Join us!
Bye.
We miss you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so next thing that we're going to do, if you're here, you're going to abide by certain norms. I just want to highlight here that a lot of us are coming in here with like a lot of different emotions. Some people are losing Medicaid, some people are losing jobs. It can be kind of even off-putting for me to like be joking up here because you're facing such significant things. And so I just want to highlight from our movement, we take these issues very seriously, but we're a joyful movement in terms of the long term of what we do. And so if you're here today, you're going to abide by certain norms. Because one of the things that they've said is like, oh, we're worried about our safety. Let me just say a few things that we're going to do. And if you feel like your emotions are getting so big that you can't abide by them, you can go with one of our marshals, they'll work with you, and then you can come right back if you need to. But we are nonviolent in everything that we do, including how we communicate with these officials. So on the note cards, when you give comments, We are nonviolent with each other. It's actually, for those who are like a little bit, I've been afraid of public speaking at different points in my life. It's a scary thing to be up here talking. So please, like, you have green and red cards. You can show agreement and disagreement. And then when somebody is done speaking, when we go to that part, you can say, the people that are speaking, you can either say thank you, and that will let people know that you're done speaking, or you can say, I hope you do better. Okay? So that's one thing. So we're gonna, the way that this town hall is gonna work is that we're gonna have a 10-minute presentation by people to talk about two different themes, liberty and justice. And I'll talk a little bit more in just a second about why those two specific themes. We're gonna break it up, 10 minutes talking about liberty, and then you all can stand up here and get your questions, so you can get in line, right even when we're starting the liberty section. So liberty includes everything from the violations to habeas corpus, to the vast corruption, the overreach by executive power to empower the richest human being in the world, to take programs away from those who are most vulnerable in our communities. It's all those sorts of executive functions. And so some of this starts to bleed into each other. The justice section is going to be about the cuts to SNAP, cuts to Medicaid, cuts to programs that are affecting people. So it's going to be in two different sections. Once we go from one section, you can go in and be in line. You can also, remember, write your questions on a note card, and we are creating that chain. And I'm really hopeful that we can show here how long this chain is going to be by the end of the second section. So if you are here, you're going to abide by those norms of nonviolence. We're going to honoring the time and then listening to the marshals. So now, for the beginning part of, and some of us have debated this, and some of us have brought these sorts of questions here of like what we want to do. And a lot of people have come to me over the last few weeks and they have said that we have had our flag taken captive. We have had some of our things that we hold dear captive. We have, even as they've been holding that captive, they've been calling us unpatriotic. But we are here to stand up for the Constitution of this country, of the Constitution of the United States. Just for, I feel a little bit, because I know there are lawyers in the room that know this a lot better than I do, but there was in 1940, there was a Supreme Court case, West Virginia versus Barnett. And in that West Virginia v. Barnett case, it said that you do not have to read out the Pledge of Allegiance, if you do. But for many of us, we are not afraid of that Pledge of Allegiance. We want to uphold that. So if we can get the lines up there, is that right here? Can we move through the presentation, or is the presentation? No? Cool. Okay, does everybody know the pledge? Like, if you do, you can word it, mouth it out. Is anybody a veteran? Would anybody want to come and join me in leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance? No? Back here. If you're a veteran, has anybody done AmeriCorps? Any sort of public service? Here.
I'm not a veteran, but I'm happy to help.
Please, come up here. So we're going to read the Pledge of Allegiance, but how does the Pledge of Allegiance end? When we get to that point, indivisible with liberty and justice for all, let's say that part a little bit louder. Okay?
Where's our flag? Yep. Please rise, hand over, hats off.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. There's a significance here in terms of that pledge. So I've shared with some of you, I'm from Iran. I immigrated from Iran when I was 8. There's a pledge in Iran as well. That pledge is to a leader. In this country, we don't pledge to leaders. We pledge to something bigger than ourselves. So there's something really special about America, and it's worth protecting because it inspires so many people around the world. We're going to start with the session on liberty. So Allison Peck is going to start giving us a little bit of what is happening, and then at the very end of that, and then she's going to hand it off to Danny, and Danny's going to talk a little bit about the immigrant community and how they're being affected by this.
Thanks, Ace, and thanks to all of you for coming. Ace asked me to do this because I'm a professor at the College of Law here. I teach courses in administrative law, which is all about how the executive branch works and sometimes doesn't work. And also I lead the immigration law clinic. So I'm going to talk a little bit about liberty here for a few minutes to just provide a little bit of context for the things that we're all seeing going on and how that how we can understand that within the legal system. And then I'll turn it over to Danny Trejo, who's really well connected with the immigrant community here in Morgantown, who can tell us some more about how people locally here are responding to this. So when we talk about liberty and the Constitution, a lot of times the first thing that comes to our mind is the Bill of Rights, the freedom of the press, the freedom of speech, freedom to be free of unreasonable searches and seizures. And all of those are important freedoms, and that's why the Bill of Rights was added to the Constitution just shortly after it was ratified. But there is another part of the Constitution, the first, well, it's more than three sections, but the first three sections of the Constitution set out the three different branches of government. First is the Congress, the legislative. Second, Article 2 is the executive branch, and third, Article 3 is the judicial branch. And so even before they got to thinking about the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, the framers of the Constitution were thinking about how to structure government in a way that preserves liberty before we even need to have that floor put in terms of the Bill of Rights and the things that government cannot abridge. So the whole system of government is supposed to be based on a balance between these three different parts of government. The executive branch is not Article 1, it's Article 2. Not that that really matters because they're all supposed to be equal, but it certainly doesn't come first. And what we're seeing now is a system in which the executive branch is agglomerating power to itself by ignoring or abridging the powers of the powers. I think it's all.
We have power lines.
Talk loud?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm not going to say too much more.
I'll let you know when I get it back up.
So there we go. Okay. But I just want to give you one example of how this is happening from a case that you probably heard about from reading about it in the media. Now, this is happening in a lot of different areas, a lot of different where we're going. A lot of different substantive areas, but the one that I'm most familiar with is immigration, so I'm going to give you an example from that. So I'm working yet. So you probably have heard about the Abrego Garcia case, the man from Maryland who was deported to El Salvador. You're probably hearing about that. The case is disturbing as it is because of the fact that even if you don't know much about the laws that are surrounding this, because of the fact that a man was taken from a parking lot with his child and immediately put on a plane and put in a prison in El Salvador without any proof. But what I want to point out about that case is that it's an example of how the executive was and continues to ignore the other two branches of government. So what's mostly you're hearing about in the news right now is the judge giving them orders to facilitate his return, and the executive continuing to refuse to do that, to not comply with discovery obligations, to request additional time even when they've done nothing to show that they need it. So that's pretty obviously flouting the powers of the Article 3, the judicial branch, which is supposed to say, hey, this is wrong, you're not following the rules right, you need to step back in line. But there's also another piece of this, which is that they are also ignoring the powers of Congress. Because Mr. Abrego Garcia already went to immigration court. He did enter without papers. The government brought him to immigration court to show why he should be allowed to stay in the United States if he didn't come with documentation. And he made a successful case that he was entitled to protection under the terms of a statute that Congress passed in 1952. That statute is still in existence. It's been updated a number of times since then, but when we in the Immigration Law Clinic are going to court, that's what we're arguing. We're saying Congress provided certain rights. And Mr. Abrego Garcia already demonstrated, to the satisfaction of a judge who's part of the Department of Justice, part of the executive branch, that he had those rights. So when the government right now takes Mr. Abrego Garcia away and refuses to recognize the powers of the court to answer for why they did that and to bring him back, they're not only abridging the powers of Article 3 in the court system, but they're also abridging the powers of Article 1, Congress, because Congress already said how this was supposed to work, and they did not observe that. It means that that law is not even as good as the paper is written on, if this is allowed to stand. So I'm glad that you're all here. I'm glad that we're uniting together. It's inspiring to me too. Sometimes it's, having to listen to the immigration stuff all day, every day, it gets really dispiriting. So it really helps me to see all of you here. So now I want to turn it over to Danny Trejo to talk a little bit about how folks can volunteer.
Hi, my name is Danny Trejo, and I'm a bilingual licensed social worker and counselor. My name is Danny Trejo, and I'm a bilingual licensed social worker and counselor here in Morgantown. And I work a lot with Latino families that get impacted. Pardon? I work with a lot of Latino families that have been impacted by ICE. I think probably the Latino population in Mon County. I know that the U.S. Census lists it as possibly 2.5%, but most of the families that I work with don't, open the door for the Census Bureau or ask or fill out any forms. So I think it's more like maybe 7% Latino population here in Mon County. A lot of the families that I work with, a couple of the families, when ICE came down, they had loudspeakers and were calling out names. They didn't have warrants, so a lot of the families were pretty smart and didn't open the doors. But a lot of them, they got at their work sites. A lot of them work at different restaurants. And so they got them there. One interesting case was one of my guys I work with, one of the families I work with, they got him, he went to his work site at one of the Mexican restaurants, and I get a phone call, and it's an ICE official, and he says, Mr. Trejo, we don't want to have Mr. Blank's car stolen, so we were wondering if you could come and get his keys. And so I did, but I called my coworker first and said, hey, if I don't, if I disappear, I might be in ICE custody. But anyway, I went to the Mountaineer Mall, and they were all there, and they came up to me and gave me his keys so his car didn't get stolen. So this was back in March, I guess. I figure maybe they got about 15 families or 15 individuals, and then the families that are left are not, they usually get the breadwinners, and so a lot of the families that I'm dealing with are having problems trying to make ends meet and trying to decide if they're going to stay here or if they're going to go back to Latin America or Mexico or South America. So a lot of them are really suffering. We try to get the word out for people to donate gift cards, Kroger gift cards for the families that are left here, because some of them, don't even work. They just stay at home mothers, and so it's been really sad, and the immigrant community is pretty scared because they don't know when they're going to come again. They don't know if they should go to work. I mean, they have to go to work if they're going to earn any money. So they're really having a hard time, and so I try to help out as best I can, and I know we're trying to work out some kind of donation system, because a lot of times you have to, when they send, I think they've been using mainly Moshannon Center to put the arrestees in, and you have to have commissary in order to make phone calls. I guess they don't give them real good food, so a lot of them have to buy their own food, and and trying to figure out what they're going to do, trying to communicate with the families, all that costs money, and a lot of the families are left with no breadwinner there, so they're really suffering and having a hard time. So I know that working with ACE, we try to set up a system to help those families right now. And anyway, thank you for having me come here and speak. It's just amazing to see so many people here that really, care and are worried about what's going on. Thank you.
Okay,
May I ask you a question?
what?
May I ask a question?
You can ask, so I'm gonna ask also people to come up here.
Okay.
Oh,
A quick question, it's very quick.
I think if it's a quick, but we wanna make sure we honor the giving people time, because we're running a little bit also behind.
So I can't answer the question.
You can come and ask the questions of the elected officials, and then definitely Danny will be around at the end. Okay? So, folks, I want to highlight what being an American means. In other countries, you can be just taken randomly because some leader tells the police that you can just snatch people off the street. In other countries, that's a normal way of life. In our country, that is not. America's always meant something more than just parchment on paper. It's about values, and these values are really important. I want to highlight, so many people always tell me, Danny kind of is that person that connects the community together. So if you don't know Danny and if you don't know their work, please come and learn about it, because he helps the most vulnerable in our city, those that we don't see often. And those people, we're here to say that they have rights. And our Constitution and what's on there matters. So if you have been sitting at home, if you have been affected, if you have a family member or somebody that you're close to that is an immigrant, if you want to speak for yourself, if you've been looking at home and saying that, for some people I know, coming from other countries in Latin America, or for me in Iran, that this democracy and this rule of law means something. If you want to come and address the questions, we're taking this whole thing on Facebook Live. I encourage anybody to come up here and ask your questions of our elected officials. We've heard from people that these things are really getting you upset. So come up here and stand, and I'll start it out. So if folks can't come up here, that would be great. So, Congressman Moore, Senator Capito, Senator Baby Dog, we're so grateful to have you here in image, if not in body. And I guess my first question is, how is it that when you took the oath of office that said that you would protect the Constitution, when you see all these infringements against the Constitution, against people's rights, how is it that you have taken no position on this? How is it that you, Congressman Moore, when Abrego Garcia was taken illegally and court said that he had to be brought back, instead of you going and talking and trying to get that person back, how is it that you, as a person who constantly posts on social media about your Catholicism, went during Easter Holy Week to El Salvador to take a selfie in front of suffering human beings? How is it that you took a thumbs up selfie in front of human beings who were sleeping on concrete floors and made their suffering part of your social media platform? How is it that you did that? And how is it that you never apologized for that behavior? So, I know so many of us have asked you that question. You have yet to apologize to the people that you did that, because even if they've committed the worst crimes in humanity, they are still human beings, and you treated them as a political prop. And that is not who we are in West Virginia. You need to apologize not only to those people, but you need to apologize to your constituents for your behavior. And how is it that you, Senator Baby Dog, have not talked to your master? You, Senator Capito, have not picked up the phone and called the executive branch and said that this violation of habeas corpus cannot stand, because that's not what the people of West Virginia elected me to come and represent. I expect you to do better.
Oh, I got questions for you guys. So many questions. Where do we start? In the pockets of billionaires, I guess is where we start, isn't it? Serving the billionaire class, serving the wealthy elite, ignoring the poor, ignoring the working class. How do you justify that? How do you look people in the eye every single day with your photo ops, your incessant, endless photo ops, and still keep a straight face? That's what I want to know. How do you keep that straight face? How do you manage to pretend to be a constitutional American? How do you do that? Do you take acting classes? Who's your acting teacher? Because you are really good at it. Riley, what you're really good at is pretending to be an American goody two-shoes boy. You're really good at that. You make it look like you care about God and Jesus and the Constitution, but everyone with a soul and a brain can see through that. And what is the cross of Jerusalem doing outside your office, by the way? Why isn't it just the American flag? I just want an American flag outside your office, so I'm curious about that. And Shelley, 25 years, total failure. 47th in the state in education, 47th in economy, 50th in infrastructure. 25 years. That sounds like absolute failure. I've called you guys the More Crime Syndicate, and I hope more people will buy it. No more. Capito. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Will Phillips. I am running for the Senate in West Virginia as a Democrat, working class progressive candidate. I hope you look up Rio for Senate. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, Congressman Moore.
Speak up.
Okay. Okay, good afternoon, Congressman Moore, Senator Capito, and, well, kind of Senator Justice. So,
Is it working? Yeah.
there, how's that? Is that better? Yeah. Okay. So, my question is for Senators Capito and Justice, as Mr. Moore has already passed us through his purview, and that is what's been called the hidden provision of the big beautiful bill. So the hidden provision reads as follows: no court of the United States may use appropriated funds to enforce a contempt citation for failure to comply with an injunction or temporary restraining order if no security was given when the injunction or order was issued. Now, the way I see it, this language will remove a powerful enforcement tool from the federal courts, weakening the judiciary branch and further empowering the executive branch. This will embolden the Trump administration to continue ignoring court orders it disagrees with, as it has already done with the Supreme Court. Will you pledge today to strike the hidden provision from this bill?
Hi, my name is Ben Clavo. I live here in Morgantown. I have a simple question for the three of you, so nothing kind of write down here. I am married and have a 9-month-old son. My wife was born in Guatemala. She is a green card holder. She's done everything right. She's here legally. But because of the detention of folks who had the documentation, because of the detention of folks who are doing everything correctly, showing up at courthouses, like Mr. Ray Garcia and many others, my wife is afraid to leave the house. She does sometimes, she's a brave woman, but this is, should be the most special year of our lives. We've got our first child who's happy and healthy, thank God. But my wife is suffering. She flinches every time she hears a police siren. She pads her pockets like crazy to make sure she has her green card at all times. She's scared. We're your constituents, and I'm wondering if you care. And if you do care, will you please talk to your beloved President Trump about your concern for your constituents who are living in fear because of his executive overreach and fascistic policies? Thank you.
I have a lot of things to say to our distinguished group of non-shows today. First, to Riley Moore. I wonder if you have, Riley, buyer's regrets for a bill that you should never have voted for. The big, beautiful bill, when they passed it, when you passed it, had not been completely written yet. It was a framework. So after you passed it, they added a whole bunch of stuff to it. Some of this, just one of the big items, and you said you were never for this, was the cut to Medicare. You always said Medicare is safe. President Trump said Medicare was safe. Your aunt said Medicare was safe.
They lied.
But you lied. You lied. Last week, when I was with some other indivisible people, speaking to your compadres in your office, they said that you told them you were opposed to the cuts in Medicare. There would be no cuts in Medicare. The big, beautiful bill says they're going to cut $480 billion from Medicare. And you voted for it. You voted for it. How will that affect me? Well, for one thing, I'm retired. And consequently, a lot of my medicine is expensive. I have one drug that I get monthly that my insurance company was billed for the month $37,224.72. since I have good medical insurance, my medical insurance only paid them $9,575.28. Cuts in Medicare could mean that my medicine, which is keeping me alive right now, I could not afford, because on the teacher's salary and Social Security, I don't even get $9,000 a month. Not even close. But this is every month. And you were opposed to it, but you voted for it. To your lovely aunt, you've said a lot of things. You've taught a lot of things. You have a lot of power. You're the fourth most strongest senator in the nation. And yet, when it comes to the big, beautiful bill, you're all in favor of it. Yet, I guarantee you, you've never read it. It's 1,100 pages. I doubt if you've even had your aides read it. You need to have your aides read it and tell you what's in it. Because there's a lot of things you're opposed to that's in that bill. And the biggest trick is to have a bill passed without all this discussion. Break it apart, read it. Because if the Congress passes this big bill, and it does what it looks like it's going to do, here in West Virginia, being hurt so much, we're going to go down in our basements, we're going to get our old paint out and our old brushes, and come the election of 26, we're going to paint this state blue because we're
for standing up and doing that. I'm going to take two more on this part of the section in terms of the rule of law, because that could have been social. That's really like, I could have done it on like fact that went wrong, but also because the next section we're going to talk about the social safety net justice issues. I'm going to take two more here, and then please, like those people who are here in line, you get to have the first questions if you want to say for the safety net piece. So I'm going to take two more, and then I'm going to go to the safety net.
Hard to follow an articulate rabble-rouser like that.
Eat the mic.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Congressman Moore, Senators Justice, and Capito, if you were to switch track and to oppose the criminal and un-American actions of the Trump administration, you would definitely be fulfilling your patriotic duty, and you would ensure a positive political legacy for yourselves. My question for the three of you is, are you brave enough to do that?
I apologize, Ace, because I didn't listen to the instructions list about safety net, but...
Well, do you have, wait, Brian.
Yeah.
Do you,
If
if somebody else has something about the rule of law, you can get that, and Brian, you can be first in the safety net questions.
Anybody?
Does anybody have a question about the rule of law? Right there.
Okay, we'll switch it.
Yeah, switch it.
Hi, I'm Janice Rosina Perry, and I'm 81 years old, and I would love it. If our legislators follow the law. I was very glad that Allison Peck sort of aligned things out for us, because my question is, how do we get our legislators to learn the law? Because they don't know it. They really don't. don't forget that we've actually had a senator who didn't know what the three branches of government are. Don't forget that. So I'm not sure what the answer is, but in order for them to follow the law, they have to know what it is. And they don't.
They can call me.
They can call Allison. We have in the Pledge of Allegiance liberty and justice for all because those two themes are very inextricably connected. What's happening, it's really hard to separate those two issues because they're unconstitutionally taking people's rights away, they're taking the services away, they're taking people's jobs away. But we are going to pivot now to talking about what the actual implications are to these policies, to our neighbors, our family members, and people who aren't being affected by it. So I can think of nobody better to help send that than I'm going to pass it to Mindy, and Mindy is going to open up with Kelly Allen from West Virginia Center for Budget Policy. Mindy.
Ooh.
Okay, can everybody hear me? Okay. I'm kind of a loudmouth, so sometimes I don't need amplification. My name is Mindy Holcomb. I am with West Virginia Citizen Action and Mountaineer Indivisible Citizen Action. And we're here to talk about the justice piece. Not this justice, but the actual, what's coming down the pipe. And Kelly's going to give you the hard numbers, and they're devastating. They're, basically it's going to devastate the state. Last week, I went with a couple of our members here. Mira, I know you're here somewhere, she's there in the back. She went with us. And Paul Henenberg, I think he's watching from home, so I'll give a wave out to him. They went with us. We took about 20 people across the state down to DC. And first we went to talk to Riley Moore's office. We didn't tell him we were coming. We just decided, hey, let's just pop in. And of course, they wanted to send us to the scheduler, and I went in with 3 other people. And Mira was outside in the hallway with about 15 other people waiting for us because his office is really small. So we go in there, and they want to send us off, and then his deputy chief of staff comes out and starts talking to us. And we're telling them our concerns about Medicaid and SNAP and Medicare, because let us not think that that isn't on the chopping block as well, as we have so been informed. But when I was there a couple months ago, Riley Moore looked me in the face because I happened to catch him in his office by accident. And I said, I'm very concerned about Medicaid. You want to put on work requirements, they don't work. It's been tried in Georgia and Arkansas, and it's been complete failures. He looks me dead in the eye and says, we're not touching Medicaid. We're not going to touch it. So what did he do when as soon as he left my presence, went down to vote and voted for the first part of the reconciliation bill that was already written that said it was going to cut Medicaid. So when they show you who they are, believe me. But anyway, back to last week. So we go, and I'm actually arguing with his deputy chief of staff because he says, oh, we're not touching Medicaid. I said, what about work requirements? Oh, we're just reforming. See, this is what they're going to do. They're throwing out some buzzwords. We're reforming Medicaid. We are adjusting some of the requirements. No, all of this is designed to cut Medicaid. We get a 90% federal match in West Virginia. They say, oh, but we're not touching the FMAP match. We're not going to touch that. Well, that's great. And that's actually slightly reassuring. But still, when you put on work requirements, it's odious paperwork. Anyway, Kelly will get into this. I'm just, but the point I wanted to get to is that why we were in the hallway and told, or our people were in the hallway, I was in the office with 3 other people. We were there, Riley Moore and one of his assistants walks through the hallway, walks right past 15 of his constituents standing right outside of his office. Says nothing. Ducked inside of a back door into his office. Said nothing to the 15 constituents standing there. And there's one thing I realized about our 4 representatives, because let's not forget Carol Miller down in the southern part of the state, where they're still flooded, still fighting to get their homes back, still trying to clean up from mold. Let us not forget people that lost their livelihoods and their homes to flooding. Let us not forget, dear Carol Miller, they have all 4 come from money. Big money. Have they ever had to worry about child care? No. Have they ever had to worry about where their groceries are coming from? No. Will they ever in their lives have to worry about health care? No. Where do their children and grandchildren go to school? Private schools. They don't care about public education. We need representatives who are in the trenches with us, who understand what it's like to struggle, who understand what our everyday is like. So I am going to turn it over to Kelly. So the executive director for the West Virginia Center for Budget and Policy. She is an amazing human being and knows her stuff. So better than I go to her anytime I need facts. So please welcome Kelly.
Sorry, I have a lot of devices. I feel like Steve Jobs or something. The new iPhone is All right. First of all, this crowd is incredible. I want to give so much gratitude to all of you for giving of your Saturday to show up, to learn about what's happening, to express your concerns about what's happening. Let me get away from our representatives. So much gratitude for you all for being here today. I had some slides that aren't going to work, so I'm going to throw some numbers.
Oh, wait.
All right. Let me put one device away. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the provisions in the One Big Beautiful Bill. First is we're saying that West Virginia is disproportionately harmed by this legislation, right? We are so reliant on federal funds. We're one of the states that's most reliant on federal funds because we have an aging population, we have a stubborn history of poverty, and we have chronic health issues, not because of anything except the fact of the industries that have populated our state, that have powered the nation, that have made a few people very rich, but often left our own people sick and disabled. And for those reasons, we are worthy and deserving of the federal investment in our state. But this package comes square after those things. I think it's worth saying the fact that our representatives are not here, that every vote, every committee hearing on this package has happened between sundown and sunup, 10 p.m. hearings, 1 a.m. hearings, a 6 a.m. vote. And the fact that our representatives are not here today is proof that many of these provisions are indefensible. There is no way to answer your questions without people getting pretty pissed off. So just want to quickly dive into 5 ways that this reconciliation package is really harmful for West Virginians. Who did all of this in 2017? A lot of us, right? We had this fight in 2017. And I think it's important to note that Medicaid is far more popular than it was in 2017. The Medicaid expansion is intermeshed in our healthcare system. The Medicaid is more popular than any of these members of Congress. It's more popular than President Trump. It's more popular than just about anything. So that's why we're not hearing repeal and replace this time. That's why we're not hearing that we're going to repeal the Medicaid expansion or the ACA. But make no mistake that this package is about gutting the Affordable Care Act. Okay, so let's just go to the next slide. So I'm going to do really quickly 5 ways that this package is really harmful for West Virginians. Go ahead, another one. So 1, it's going to take health coverage away from a lot of people. It's going to violate promises from our delegation and President Trump to lower costs for people. So we expect that this regulatory red tape that Minnie talked about, that we know what it does, is going to result in up to between 50,000 and 110,000 West Virginians losing their Medicaid over the years when it's implemented. We also know they're coming after the Affordable Care Act. So this goes, it does not extend premium tax credits that help about 50,000 West Virginians who are eligible for Medicaid or Medicare and don't get health coverage through their employer. These tax credits help them afford coverage on the marketplace. If that's not extended, we're going to see 50,000 West Virginians on top of that figure that we already talked about, see their health care costs skyrocket. Seniors, people who are pretty close to Medicare age, could see their health care premiums increase by, I'm not joking, 500%. Because this has been such a boon to help people afford their health coverage. The expectation is that about 15,000 of those folks won't be able to afford health care anymore. So we're going to dramatically increase our uninsured rate. We know the impact that's going to have on health in our state. And we've also talked about it a little bit, but this is going to take Medicare, that people who are lawfully present in our country have paid into, take Medicare away from them, and also take marketplace coverage away from refugees in West Virginia. All right, next slide. So 1, it's going to raise healthcare costs for folks. Number 2, it's going to raise the cost of groceries. What was this entire election about? Making groceries more affordable. It's going to, increase grocery costs for up to the 277,000 West Virginians who rely on SNAP for food on the table. Again, by implementing this regulatory red tape. All we've been hearing about is how we need to get rid of bureaucracy, right? Deregulate. But it's okay to ramp up red tape on low-income people, I guess. So tens of thousands of West Virginians, including children, are at risk of losing SNAP food assistance because of this new regulatory red tape. These SNAP changes also put about 150,000 West Virginia kids at risk of losing their free school meals because it makes it a lot more difficult for those things to be calculated. So this is very, very explicitly impacting children in West Virginia. And it also requires, it takes away the historic commitment of SNAP and before that food stamps to be 100% federally funded. This is shifting a significant portion of SNAP food assistance costs on the state budgets. All right, next slide. So 1, raises costs for healthcare. 2, raises grocery costs. 3, it's passing the buck onto state lawmakers and onto the state's charitable network. So I mentioned it's making states pick up a big chunk of SNAP costs for the first time in history. In West Virginia, we've been cutting taxes. We've been shrinking our budget. So that means state lawmakers are going to have to raise taxes, cut SNAP, or cut something else that state dollars currently pay for. So they're going to be in a little bit of a pickle. It also takes away some of the ways that West Virginia pays our share of Medicaid. Medicaid's already a matching program, but it's kind of tightening up how states can raise that money, so that's going to create problems for the state budget. And then we know what happens when fewer people are insured or when fewer people have food assistance. It increases the burden on the state's charitable food network. So we're going to see our food pantries, our food banks have higher food burdens. We're going to see our hospitals and providers have to provide more uncompensated care, more charity care. So we're not saving money, we're shifting costs downward onto the state government. When the state government says no thanks, we're shifting them on to families and our charitable food networks. I saw a data point that the SNAP cuts as currently structured would take away 9.5 billion meals. Do we think our charitable food networks nationwide can make up 9.5 billion meals? People are going to be hungry. All right, number 4. It's going to hurt our economy. We hear a lot about these regulatory red tape things and Medicaid and SNAP being about helping people work. This is actually going to cost jobs. We've seen estimates that the Medicaid cut specifically will result in a loss of 2,000 to 3,000 jobs, a lot of those in the healthcare sector, but also spillover jobs. We lose federal Medicaid dollars. Those are dollars that are paying doctors and nurses and providers. Similarly, SNAP dollars create retail and grocer jobs. And we won't get into it much, but there's a lot of cuts to clean energy tax credits that are expected to cost 2,800 jobs in West Virginia. So we're talking about thousands of jobs lost in order to do these things. Okay, number 5, I know I need to hurry up. Makes college less affordable. It's going to cut higher ed education investments, changed Pell Grant eligibility, and several thousand students are going to have federal aid lost altogether or lose some aid. And why? Okay, this is my favorite slide. I hope people see it. Okay, why are we doing this? To deliver massive tax cuts to the wealthiest Americans and to still raise the national debt. These cuts to Medicaid and SNAP in higher education pale in comparison to the cost of extending tax cuts. And most of us get a pittance, right? The wealthiest 1% of households in West Virginia are going to get an estimated tax cut of $50,000 a year. That's to buy a pretty sweet new car. And the rest of us are going to get fumes, right? The bottom 28% of households will only get about $120 a year. That's before accounting for the loss of SNAP and Medicaid. That's before accounting for the cost of tariffs, increasing the cost of basic goods. I don't know what the status of tariffs is right now, but that's what this is all for, right? It pays for a fraction of the cost of these tax cuts. The cuts to the SNAP, $300 billion, cost the same as this obscure estate tax cut that goes to 1/10 of 1% of the states. Like, that's really what we're talking about. So, I'm going to stop there.
So, I'll start off with my question, because given these figures, people are going to die. Loss of health insurance will cause people to die. Loss of food in your home will cause people to die. So, to our esteemed delegation here, what's your death toll? What's the acceptable amount of people that are allowed to die because of these actions and these cuts that you will accept, that that's okay? But once it goes above that, well, that's just a bridge too far. So, how many people are we allowed, are you feeling good about sacrificing? How many of our neighbors? How many of our family members? How many in our community are they willing to sacrifice for greed?
1 to 2 minutes.
Yes, I'm on track here. Hi, everybody. My name is Brian Butcher. I'm your 7th Ward City Councilman. The first question is for the audience. Are there any other elected officials here today? And if you could stand up real quick. Okay, so I'm the only elected official in the room, guys. So my question for the elected officials who are not here today is, why is it that you can't face your constituents? Why is it that you have these policies and you're so proud of the things that you're doing inside of, your job that we pay your salary for, but you can't explain it to us? You can't come and talk to us about it. I can tell you one thing, as an elected official, seeing this many people civically engaged gets me really excited. Because when I got into office, it was because I was civically engaged, it's because I appreciate civic engagement, which apparently you expressly do not. Because otherwise you'd be here. You'd be proud of the things that you're doing, and you'd be wanting to talk to everybody about them, right? But apparently not. So I just wonder that when those children are starving, that when the people who are just talking to you are not able to afford their medication, are dying because of a lack of health care, I just wonder if you're going to look them in the face when that happens. Obviously not. But I just want you to know that we're all here, we all understand what it is that you're doing, and that it's giveaways to the people that you have always given giveaways to. And that's the robber barons, the carpetbaggers, the people that West Virginians revive. So, your days are numbered, just keep that in mind, and we'll see you.
name is Paige. I live in Morgantown. So my question is, where is the freedom in having the lands that we work and live on poisoned, destroyed, and made unlivable by the descendants of the same coal operators our ancestors fought against? West Virginia has shown again and again the power of a community standing against unjust laws and rotten government, from Harper's Ferry to the Battle of Mayflower. On May 19th, it was 105 years since Smiling Sid Hatfield stood against the tyranny of corporate-backed thugs and government corruption. King Cole had each branch of government stuffed with cash to ensure that politicians were loyal and that police would look the other way when their Baldwin Phelps thugs carried out atrocities against West Virginians. In 1919, Sid Hatfield was made chief of police in Mayflower, West Virginia. I doubt you would know that. He had witnessed firsthand the murders, rapes, evictions, beatings, and burnings carried out by the Baldwin Phelps thugs against working-class West Virginians, his neighbors, and anyone thought to have Union sympathies. And once he became chief of police, Sid likely would have had to help in executing these government-sanctioned shakedowns. And I will remind you, the gun thugs were not government workers. They were hired by the richest people in the country to threaten minors and their families into compliance. But Sid Hatfield suffered this for 1 year, and in May of 1920, Baldwin Phelps detectives petitioned the Mayflower mayor and Chief Hatfield to allow them to set up machine gun encampments overlooking the homes and communities of the town's miners. In exchange for huge bribes, all the police had to do was let the Baldwin Phelps thugs evict the families of suspected Union sympathizers, and the machine gun setups would provide deadly insurance that their orders were followed. But the mayor and Chief Hatfield refused the bribe, and Chief Hatfield said, "If what you are doing is within the confines of the law, I will not stand in your way, but if it ain't, I will stop you." And he did. The police and mayor stood against corporate tyranny, thus began the Cold Wars, and for 2 years, these heroes of West Virginia defended their people from these domestic terrorists at the Baldwin Phelps Detective Agency, Stone Mountain Coal Company, and the governor by any means necessary. So why are you unbothered by the parallels between Baldwin Phelps detectives and Doge workers? Is it because you are ignorant of West Virginia's diverse and community-driven strength, or is it because you are also funded by modern King Cole? Because of your wealth, you have the freedom to ignore the working class, and while history doesn't rhyme, it likes to repeat.
Hello. Hey, dog. I want to know why you aren't here. And I want to know if you know the Trump administration is breaking the law. Courts have already ruled against the Trump administration over 170 times. In response to many of these rulings, the president has resisted compliance and waged intimidation campaigns targeting the judges responsible. The bill seems squarely and unacceptably focused on shielding the Trump administration from accountability when it breaks the law. To make matters worse, the new rule would be so broad that it would allow any government actor to escape being held accountable for violating those court rulings. I want to know, are you okay with the Trump administration breaking the law? If so, are you okay with them not being held responsible? I would like an answer.
Just a reminder, fill out your note cards if you have a question that hasn't been addressed by our delegation. We have note cards. We can also come by and pick them up. So don't forget to fill those out, and Ms. Ella will add them to our chain.
Senator Capito, Senator Justice or Representative, Mr. Moore. I'm a family physician in Fairmont. I was serving as an officer of medical staff when the pandemic hit and my hospital closed. When people's Medicaid coverage gets cut off, they will end up getting worse care, and costs will actually increase as the costs are shifted to other sources of care covered by federal money. I could give multiple examples. The point is that when a person doesn't have any health insurance coverage, they will tend to avoid primary care and not get care until they get worse, and they end up needing, for instance, emergency room care, where the law requires that they be cared for and the bill will be large. That cost will be shifted to us, all of us, in some other way, either through another program such as critical access hospitals, which there are many in the state, or they will be shifted to us through payment of premiums for private insurance. There is a way to decrease healthcare spending. Cutting Medicaid won't do it. What would decrease spending is the bill in Congress right now. This bill would set up approved Medicare for all. Running Medicare costs 3% of its budget. 3%. Privately run insurance always costs at least 15% of the money it brings in, and that number could go much higher, often as high as 40%. Mr. Riley, Senator Capito, Senator Justice, which is a better deal? What do you think is a better deal? Big private profits at our expense, plus unneeded bureaucracy, or a sleek 3%? Stop Medicaid cuts, don't close our hospitals, save our health care. No Medicaid cuts. No Medicaid cuts.
Senators, Congressperson, thanks for being here. My name is Jeff Adams. I'm a voter from Morgantown, West Virginia. And like probably everybody else here today, I'm here for lots of reasons, but I'm going to talk about just one, which is what the policies that you're endorsing are doing to science and medical research in America. I'm a neuroscientist. I study the brain. I try to understand how it works and how it can go wrong, and what we can do to treat it if it suffers from injury or disease. I'm really proud of my work and how it serves our community. But I'm also really frightened that all of that's at risk because of the unnecessary, unreasonable budget cuts that we're facing. They're now saying that 40% of NIH's budget is going to be slashed, which is going to destroy a decades-long investment in biomedical research in this country. And I'm especially frightened of the interference by non-scientist politicians like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. who have lied about science and scientists for their own political gain. I think sometimes people think that scientists are some sort of distant elite who have some weird agenda that's different from most Americans. So I'd like to just maybe briefly tell you about who I am and where I came from. I'll try to cut this short. Unlike RFK Jr., and I think unlike some of you here today, who didn't choose to show up, I don't come from a rich or powerful family. My brother and I were the first in our family to graduate from college, and I'm the first in my family to ever receive a PhD. No one in my family is a scientist other than me or has a fancy degree, but they all believed in the importance of education. And when our country provided those opportunities for me to get an education, they encouraged me to take advantage of those opportunities. I grew up watching TV programs about science and nature on PBS, which politicians are These programs were funded by the American people to help educate and inspire all of us. They taught me a deep level of science, and I knew that when I grew up, I wanted to become somebody who could serve my community and my country by contributing to human knowledge. When I went to college, my education was funded in large part by a merit scholarship from my state. When I went to graduate school, my education was funded entirely by training and research grants from the National Institutes of Health. To produce a generation of scientists who can discover therapies for the worst diseases that we know, the American people invested in scientific education at all levels, from public broadcasting to public education to publicly funded research grants. And I'm just one example to prove that that investment paid off. Every scientist that I know is scared of what's happening right now. Every scientist I know talks about how the random changes in rules and regulations from one day to the next make it impossible to plan experiments. Every scientist I know who, like me, is a product of public investment, is worried that they will ultimately either have to leave the country for somewhere more stable or just give up their work entirely and leave science. Instead of listening to scientists who have a track record of solving problems, they're cutting our budgets. Elon Musk and his cronies are lying about finding waste, fraud, and abuse in scientific research, but they never give any evidence to justify these cuts. RFK Jr. lies and says there's not enough research to show that vaccines are safe, when the American people have already spent millions of dollars in independent, non-independent scientists and they completely have vaccines based on high-quality independent scientists are safe and effective. Culture warrior ideologues cut research grants for using words like diversity, even the diversity in question is bacterial. And let me be clear, science doesn't operate in a vacuum. When there are threats to free speech and free inquiry anywhere, science is impacted. Cutting the grant because of the word diversity, because it has the word diversity, is wrong, not only because the people who made this rule are too ignorant to consider that the word might have more than one meaning, but because political restrictions on research and inquiry are poison to science. To our elected officials who chose not to come today, I'm begging you, if you care at all about the people of West Virginia, please stop listening to the rich lobbyists in D.C. Stop listening to the soulless political strategists of your party. Stop listening to the liar leading your party. Listen to people that you represent who have the knowledge and experience that you can use to make good decisions for this state. Ask scientists and doctors what they need to do their jobs. Ask them what's real. Scientists will tell you the truth. It's our job. Thank you.
No.
I'd like to start with a quote by James Baldwin, who's one of my favorite writers. He says, "Children are always ours, every single one of them, all over the globe." I'm a pediatrician and worked in maternal child public health for 25 years, and I believe deeply in this sentiment. If you do things that benefit children, if you develop policies around children, everyone benefits. If you neglect the needs of children, everyone loses. Donald Trump and his followers in Congress clearly do not use the needs of children as part of their moral compass, if they even have one. Their policies not only neglect children, they actively harm them. By cutting nutrition programs like SNAP and school lunches, they increase food insecurity, which leads to poor school performance and developmental delays. Deporting families, immigrants, results in children being separated from their families, and undescribable trauma. Defunding the Department of Education deprives children of a secure and productive future. Funding weapons to bomb and starve tens of thousands of children and their families in Gaza. Doing more injury to U.S. taxpayers whose money goes to fund these efforts, which we would have. Senators and Congressmen, what will you do to protect the needs of children from further harm, or will you prefer to let these policies go forward, deepening childhood poverty and ill health in West Virginia? West Virginia children are among the poorest in the country. 1 in 4 lives in poverty, and West Virginia ranks 45 out of 50 in child health. Thank you.
My name is Cynthia Stafford. I did not plan on asking a question today. But my question is to Senator Capito. As many people have mentioned today, coal is a huge, unfortunately, employer in West Virginia. and NIOSH was cut along with a lot of plans regarding black lung. My question to you is, why are you taking credit for NIOSH employees being retired? When actually it was a court case. When actually it was a court case, and I can't remember the attorney that was brought for a actual coal miner in this state.
Sam Pitstonic.
Yep. Sam Pitstonic?
Greetings, representatives. It's an important title because it means you represent. My name is Tina Stagner-Shank, and I have two very simple questions. One, how have you built a clearly family life that allows you to think of some humans as less than human? How do you do that? How do you raise children, generation after generation, to think it's okay to treat some of us as less than the others? My other question is equally simple. Others have asked it. But it's, again, focused on family values. A thing that, for at least 3 generations, your family has screamed in my family's face. Why? How do you train your children to lie with such straight faces? How do you train your children to sleep calm, easy lives while lying ever since?
No.
Can you hear me? All right. This one's for Senator Capito, because she's the only one who wrote back to me, or her office did anyway. When I wrote to ask what you would say to people whose family members would eventually die to the COGB cuts, I like dodgy, but I don't know what you guys like. You responded, I believe that the federal government has an obligation to review spending for waste, fraud, and abuses that exist. If that's what they are doing, why are they cutting a single worker that single-handedly saved thousands of miners' lives by improving safety? Why are they cutting jobs that ensure the safety of West Virginia workers, funding that saves lives by improving health and services that improve our daily lives? Why do you think money spent on saving and helping West Virginians is waste, fraud, and abuse? Is it because you've actually revealed what you think of us?
Johnson, and as the 3 of you know, I've spoken to aides in your offices at least every 10 days since February 1st. So I'm not going to ask you a question today. I'm going to make a suggestion for an action to everybody here that is something I do all the time. I keep a sign in my front living room window facing out where people can, that everybody that goes by sees it, maybe a third of them read it. The one that's there right now is Smokey the Bear. And across the top of the brim of his hat it says resist. And around his face it says, only you can prevent fascism. That ACE and MICA have decided that we will have weekly actions on Thursdays. tradition of putting signs in your living room windows that face out to the street is something all of us can do all the time. I change the signs at least every couple weeks so that people don't get too bored or used to them. Unless you think that I live in some deep blue neighborhood, two of my immediate neighbors have their Wi-Fi identification is 4547. So I really believe that this is safe, and it's something that will affect some people that see your signs, even if it only makes them think for a minute. Thank you.
Our last question, and then Ace and I will close us out with some actions you can take leaving here.
Okay, my name is Madison Crane. I'm from Preston County. First, I just want to say, I think it's ridiculous that they pretend that this bill is to help save taxpayers' money and cut federal spending when you're giving a huge break to the billionaires. It's just cutting to the poor. It's not giving any working class people tax cuts. You're giving the billionaires tax cuts, and it's disgusting. Second of all, I want to say I think it's horrific how they pretend and use Christian symbols and pretend to be Christian and preach Christian nationalism when everything they do stands against what Jesus fought for. If Jesus was here today, this party would be harming him. They would be sending him to a prison. They would not be doing what he says. I think it's just disgusting. I encourage these brave Christian representatives to actually read the Bible, attend church, maybe think their actions over. And finally, I want to say that they think that their seats are safe because this has been a deep red state for 20 years, but that is not going to be the case anymore. We are going to show up. We are going to fight back. We are going to
That's the many changes.
I've been organizing for a while, and you all are bringing me to tears. The energy in this room is exhilarating, and I love it. But it doesn't end here. It doesn't end in this room with our questions going out to folks that can't be bothered to face their constituents when they're making decisions that affect our everyday lives. I have postcards already pre-addressed to Senator Capito, telling us not to fund food and care, not tax cuts. How is this a bill that reduces spending when it's got a $4 trillion deficit to it? It already adds, so I don't get the math. And West Virginia Citizen Action, who is the arm of MICA, we're planning a couple more trips to DC. If that is something that you are interested in and that you want to be let in on, we want as many people to go as we can. Come find me. I've got postcards and I've got my card, and you can let me know, and I will keep you in the loop when we go to DC next. We need them to see our faces whether they want to or not.
I'll just say that for a few weeks, the last few weeks, I've been feeling a little bit burned out, but you guys just lit me up. Thank you so much. Thank you to Susan and their team in setting everything up. Susan just handed me 3 copies of the Declaration of Independence and the United States Constitution. So I'm going to put one at each of your chairs. I'm happy to buy a Trump Bible Constitution. If you manage to give me there, tell me that you'll read it. This is liberty and justice go down when we stop paying attention. When we find that they have taken the strategy of flooding the zone because they feel like in a social media age, the injustices that are being perpetrated will soon become yesterday's news. They will think that those people whose benefits that they cut will be too embarrassed to mention it, feel too isolated and too alone to resist it, and that we are just going to let this happen. Well, I am going to tell you, we are not going to let this happen. Not in West Virginia, not in our community, and not in the United States of America. We're not going to solve this overnight. We're just not. This is not going to be a quick thing that you're going to make a call and suddenly there's going to be a change that's going to come overnight. I want everyone to know that every single call you make, every time you show up to one of these events, you are planting a seed of hope. Our kids and my daughter here has made this long chain of all the questions that we haven't answered. Can we lift up that chain just to show how long it is right now? In addition to all the questions that you all have asked. We are going to send that chain. Not because we think. Not because we think that you're going to answer them, but because we have hope in your offices. We have hope in our democracy. We have hope in you when even you do not have hope in yourselves. We know that you are our elected officials and you have to represent us at the end of the day. And we know that there are people all around the world today that are sacrificing great safety to themselves because they believe in what America was and will be. We believe in that promise. And we're going to continue to do this. So please, there's going to be moments where you're going to be sitting at home and you're going to worry and you're going to be like, why am I doing this? Why am I making this call? The staffer is just going to write this note and I'm going to throw it in the trash. Every single time you do that, that is an act of hope. That is an act of hope in that future generation. And that hope is what's going to bear promise. That every single time you feel tired and you feel like you're alone, just look around you and take that picture in. To know that you are not alone, that we're all doing this together. And we're going to continue to do this together. We are going to continue. And we didn't accede to say that we're going to do Thursday actions. We are doing Thursday actions. Because you are MICA. There's nobody in this organization that's getting paid. We're all volunteers, y'all. So we keep asking you, please continue. We're doing this like building the startup, but we will have frustrations, we will have trip-ups, but we are all in this together, and not just for this month, not just for the next month, but we are in it together until we make things better. That we have Thursday actions now. We do have Thursday actions. In addition to not showing up to our town hall, Congressman Moore has also built an effective moat around his office here in Oregon County. The moment we come around there, he has one of his cronies, a property manager, come to kick us out. So we are going to address that issue in the long term. We deserve representation, and we will hold you to that standard. If you want to represent, if you want to run for an office that's deemed to represent, you must represent us. So we're going to do that. We are going to continue to do these Thursday actions. Be on the lookout for when our next one is and how we break that moat that Congressman Moore has set up. We are going to have an action on June 14th, No King's Day. We are planning that action right now. The premise of our No King's action lies in this small document. It takes you literally 10-15 minutes to read it if you're doing a close read of it. We encourage them to read it. And if they can't get all the way through it, I'm sure Allison will take a call with them. We are also planning a lecture series that Rich is working on. We're going to have we're going to invite people to continue to learn because there's a reason. There's the great thinker Jon Stewart from The Daily Show said that if you want to do something really evil, put it into something really boring, right? They are going to continue to jam these things into these big bills in the dead of night, and the way that they win is if we stop paying attention and we stop calling. We are not going to do that. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I am in here. I've just got so much hope and so much joy in what we're doing. We are not here just as an angry movement. We want to invite you back. We're going to invite you back over and over and over again until you accede. Because we know that there's people around the world that have done much more, that have had much more resilience, and have had to deal with much more to get their elected officials to do the right thing. And we're going to continue to do that, even in deep red state West Virginia. We're going to do it until, even if you have a Republican, I don't care, have a Republican, but that comes to town halls, listens to their constituents. I'm not here to be a problem like a Democratic Party. We have elected officials that I'm really proud of here in Mon County, local and state elected officials. And all we're asking is that you don't agree with us, but you come and listen to us. So thank you so much for coming here. We're going to continue to do this. I know some of you have questions. We're happy to come and answer them, and we'll include any answers that relate to the rest of the group on our emails. We're also going to send a donation page around because we are so grateful for First Presbyterian for hosting us. This is what church is supposed to do. Church is supposed to bear that moral witness and thank you, Jack Norman. Thank you, First Presbyterian congregants, for welcoming us continually. But we're going to also do events, and we're going to need some funding because this is just like all volunteer based. Thank you, Kermit the Frog, for showing up to our. And he's going into his. Kermit, thank you. Yes. Please continue to stand with us. We're so grateful for you. We have some positions that are open right now. We need people just because people are managing work and family. There's going to be. I'm not here to do this forever. We're going to continue to need to switch, and so please, when you can, step up into that leadership. We welcome you. We invite you. There's a thing. What? Oh.
No, I just want to say that June 14th is also the Morgantown Pride Block Party. Please show up and support. I know there's a lot of folks in this room that do.
So we are going to end this time together with the same way that we end our meetings. It's a farm worker clap. It's a hopeful clap. We start slow and we speed up. So please join me.